Take care of you now.
Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah. When you get back.
I'm back. Well, let's see. Looks like people are a little slow getting up on board tonight. Okay. So Nadine's there. A lot of our regulars are on the bus trip, so we're gonna have I guess, a light crowd today. Oh, this is sort of fun. Let's see. To do. I think I'll start with some funnies here. So I guess it's Joe and Mac and Nadine for now, and maybe some others are coming in on the. Oh, Bill Orris is joining us too. Okay, good. We we're talking about one problem, and I think it's been resolved or is being resolved as we speak. It has to do with our TV guide, Channel 1. You ever noticed recently when you want to go do some channel surfing and you go to the guide, it's not very helpful when it says,
Where's the audio?
let's see here.
Bob, can you hear me?
What's that?
I see your mouth working. I can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you, Bob.
Okay, then.
I hear you.
I'll put my mic on. That might be a bit better. All right, is that better?
Yep.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you've seen this, but this is what the, now where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. So if you you go to Channel 1 and you look at the Channel 1 guide, quite often this is all you see. This is just 1:32 this afternoon. It says regular schedules. It doesn't tell you what's on. You got to do some mind reading. So Sandy said it's probably the machine downstairs that they have to reboot. So they tried to reboot it, and apparently it didn't do anything. So they're calling the technician, and hopefully within the next day or two or whatever, we'll get our guide back. So that's something we just noticed in the last few days, and didn't seem to be working very well, and not too many people knew about it or talked about it, so didn't get reported. So, okay. Let's see, we got I was going to talk about the COVID stuff. I lost track of oh, here it is. Okay. I know what I was going to talk about first. We, everybody knows what this is, right?
Yeah.
It's a staple remover,
Staple
right?
puller.
And keep them handy now because Staples Center is no longer Staples. You're gonna have to remove a lot of staples. It's crypto.com center or some silly thing. And the guy spent $700 million on us to buy the rights for this for the next 20 years, just so he can have his name in lights. I don't know if that's good advertising or he's just an egocentric kind of guy, but it's crazy. Let's see. Anybody got any great stories they want to share today about what happened the last week or so, a day or so, or whatever? All righty. I noticed one thing that's really kind of scary. The news is talking about all these smash and grab robberies at the high-end stores. And they ended up arresting 14 guys in San Francisco that had gone into some of these fancy places. And they got their names and everything else, and they let them go. They're out in the street again. Apparently, the DA's process is policies up there to keep the jails empty. So I don't know what the jails are for. Why we even have a police force who don't want to arrest people and prosecute them? They just hope that they're going to come back with a piece of paper on the hand. So disturbing, totally disturbing. We got a big week coming up here in the village. If you haven't looked at your calendars, you better keep track of them. Judy's been really doing a lot of work to put things together. And let me go over some of the events. Beginning, let's see, Saturday, we don't have anything special. They have an outing for Peacemakers Christmas Festival. I haven't got into that. But come Monday, we have a resident council meeting at 1 o'clock. And then at 5, Jennifer Hart will be in the Red Chair Lounge. Always a lot of fun to sing along with Jennifer. Tuesday is the first bus trip to go out and see the holiday lights. It leaves at 6:30 and you need to sign up for it. And if you sign up for one, you can't sign up for the other one. They actually have, I think, 4 different bus trips. And this is the first of the 4. The next bus trip is on Friday. No, that's something else. The next one is up on the Monday, the 13th. And then there's another one on the 16th. And then another one on Tuesday, the 21st. So there's plenty of bus rides going out to these different places, but you got to pick and choose which site you want to go to. And I signed up for this one in Yorba Linda. It's really beautiful. It goes up to the east part of Yorba Linda where that big lake is, and I think it's called East Lake or something. And a very beautiful lights up there. And everybody in the past got in the spirit of that, and the whole area was totally lit up. And of course, one was competing with the other. It's just like you see on some of these TV shows where they try to outdo each other. So it's really something. That was before COVID. So this is the first chance to see it since we've been out of COVID or whatever. So that's a big one. Then, of course, same kind of stuff. They got Christmas tea for the ladies on Thursday. Then at 2 o'clock. Wait a minute. At 1 o'clock. And then they have also on next Friday, you got Joe Tater in the Red Chair Lounge at 7 o'clock. He's one of my favorites for sure. And then Beth Sussman will be in the pack on Saturday afternoon at 2. So we've got a lot of things coming up in the next few weeks. And one of the things that you really have to watch out for and sign up for is the birthday show. the birthday show, they had a flyer in the boxes because there's only going to be one birthday show, and they're going to start signing up on Thursday, December 9th. That's this coming Thursday. And when it's all full, it's all full. So we can't accommodate everybody, but there's only going to be one showing. The Christmas chorale concert is going to be later, and that's going to be on the 18th, Saturday the 18th, and we're going to try to do two shows, two performances, one at 1 o'clock and one at 3 o'clock. So you sign up for one or the other, and we'll see how that's going to be a first for us to do that. So those are the big things that I have circled on. But the key thing is go down the post, check out that book where it says activities, and fill it up. So, I have a little Thanksgiving thing to show you. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, this is it here. Okay. So I got a picture from my brother who lives in north side of Boston. And this is what he showed me in his backyard the day after Thanksgiving. It's full of turkeys. I guess they figured it's time to come out safe and not worry about getting being part of the dinner. I know if you've ever been to New England, but they have all these wild turkeys. They're just like, big birds. They will run around in the forests and everything else. So that was sort of a funny picture to get. Then I saw another one that was really kind of cute. It's a tow truck. And so the guy says, if you need a tow, well, you go out and get it. So it's a Lincoln's tow truck. Now we have all these other problems with traffic, and traffic control. And so I showed this before. This is where they say speed limits enforced by aircraft. So they have a helicopter hiding in the bushes. Well, here's another version of that. Here's speed checked by radar. Now, does everybody remember who radar was?
Oh, yeah, he was on MASH.
MASH, yes. So that goes along with that. And of course, don't count your years, don't count your gray hairs, don't count your aches or your wrinkles, don't count your problems, count your blessings. So that was a Thanksgiving message there. So, all righty. I see Louis join us.
Hi.
Yeah, we're slowly getting our quorum up together. So here. So let's see. Nadine, do you have any announcements you want to make or anything like that?
Hi, Bob. Can you give me just like 5 minutes? I'm just doing one quick thing. And I can get
Okay,
back with
sure,
you. Is
sure.
that okay?
Yeah, I
Okay,
just don't
I'll
want
be
to
right back.
forget you here.
Thank you. I just need like 5 or so minutes.
All righty.
Okay.
I will go on with other things. Now we know we have a new virus strain called Omicron. And Omicron is the next letter in the Greek alphabet after Delta, I guess. And so they're very creative, like how they name them. And they've now found it in many different states, including California. They're still learning about it. They're not too sure about how severe it is when you catch it. They're hoping that the vaccines that we have will be strong enough to prevent us from getting really sick and dying from it. So, because they're worried about the hospital loads and deaths, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't catch it, though. There was a story today in the Wall Street Journal about some people in South Africa. They have found who had previous COVID and had some immunity that immunity wasn't very strong for this new strain. So that was just based upon the immunity, not from the vaccines, but immunity from having prior disease. So, but that's a scary part of it, because now they're saying, well, gee, maybe the immunity from the vaccine is not going to be very strong. And they were saying, well, the best thing to do is, of course, get a booster. But the other part of the problem is it's now saying, oh my gosh, we're going to have to put those masks on again. Make sure we wear them all through the holidays, because the vaccines really don't stop the transmission. They just stop you from getting sick, but you still can get carrier. And the vaccine's ability to reduce the contagion is very little. And they don't talk too much about that, but that's where the evidence is. So we'll have to go back and wear masks again. And I'm guessing our concerts are going to be, we might even have to wear masks as singers in the concert. We don't like that, but if that comes to that's the only way we can do it. Well, I hope there's a way we can get around that, because it's no fun singing with a mask on your face. So
Doesn't sound very good either.
no, it doesn't sound very good. So, speaking of COVID, I have another thing to share, and it's something that Bill Orth sent me. So let's see if we can enjoy this.
Oh, his suit has been pressed, the sleigh's looking pretty. He's got the go-ahead from Professor Chris Whitty. Santa Claus is COVID secure. When he enters your house, he'll be a good chap. He'll check himself in on the NHS app. Santa Claus is COVID secure. He's not displaying symptoms, you've got nothing to fear, 'cause he isolates at the North Pole 364 days a year. It's close to midnight, the church bells chime. He's late because he's washed his hands a billion times. Santa Claus is COVID secure. He's got a few rules to follow, it's a difficult task, but he won't go down your chimney without wearing a mask. Santa Claus is COVID secure. Presents are loaded, the drop-offs are mapped, his mince pies are all individually wrapped. Santa Claus is COVID secure. His sleigh is ventilated, the presents are as well, and Rudolph's had his red nose rubbed in antibacterial gel. The reindeer have helped, the elves play the part, they've all placed themselves 2 meters apart. Santa Claus is COVID secure.
How about that? Thank you, Bill. Very appropriate. So we're trying to get in the holiday spirit, and of course, I hope everybody had a chance to do some shopping over Black Friday and get ready for all the Christmas presents that we have to need to get for all our friends. But I have some ideas, if you want, for what may be some good where did I put it? Some good ads for things you can get for Christmas. So let's see. They're really old-time ads, and they're not really unique to Christmas. But I'll start with some of these and see if you think maybe this will fit the bill for somebody put in their stocking or something like that. So here we go. So here's a chase. This is an ad that appeared in a newspaper. Isn't it time you gave yourself a Christmas gift? and it's showing you how you can buy a gun. And you can buy it in the mail from Colt, of all places. I don't know if the prices are reasonable, not anymore. But this is a rather old ad. So let's see what else they got on the list here. Oh, it's butter. Butter is great. It's good for you. We eat butter, slippery butter. That's why we eat as much as possible, because it lubricates our arteries and our veins. Here's another one. Nicotine cigarettes. And it's showing a pregnant lady, smooth taste for expectant mothers crave. Not exactly what we'd see of today's stuff. And now this is a one for the people who need something that no one else has. Dehydrated water. The can contains 1 gallon of water, stir until dissolved, chill and serve. All you have to do is add water. Now, for some people, this might be hard for certain wives to take, but Hoover is saying Christmas morning should be happy ever with a Hoover. So I don't know if that's something your wife would want to deal with you. Now I don't know this one about curves of the youth. Pull the cords and it gets your chin, the flabs of your chin flattened out. Flush the resilience of your youth, prevents double chins, effective double chins, and reduces glands. So that's another great one. And here's one for keeping the babies healthy, using Black Flag DDT to keep the flies off the baby. Comes in 5 and 10% solutions. And I don't want to talk about this one, but this is for the ladies. Keep their mimsy clean with a Lux soap. And I think Lux was a soap that we used to wash floors with. Here's one. Lane Bryant was always known as the big ladies store. And they're showing how the chubby clothes are extra large. The pictures of new dresses. So that might be a little bit insulting for some ladies, but it's just, got to get information. Of course, there's another one. Get your kids started on Coca-Cola early, and how soon is too soon, kind of hard reading of this thing. But this is a Soda Pop Board of America. So anyhow, these are pretty old ads, and maybe it's something you can like here. This is cocaine tooth drops. And if you want to believe the science, radium makes things grow. It should say glow, not grow. Radium fertilizer, don't believe it. Now, here's beneficial to the old and young. And he's drinking Rainier beer. It brings a glow of health and gives a new lease on life. No medicine can equal it as a tonic. And he's giving it to his granddaughter.
Grandpa's in trouble.
Now, here's one where Schlitz is coming out with a new invention, a soft top beer can, because the old ones had steel tops. They're really hard to open. You remember, guys, that's the old hard way?
Yep.
So someday beer cans will open this easy. And here's another one wives may take an issue with. So the harder a wife works, the cuter she looks. And you get vitamins for PEP for vitamins. And here's another one about magic mineral called asbestos to protect the buildings on your farm. Yeah, they didn't know exactly what was going in. And of course, for the ladies, this is a vibrating bra for relaxation and satisfaction. So I don't know if they come any different sizes. Here's the one, how television benefits your children. This is the same logic, I guess, that Instagram and all those Twitter things we're getting on trying to get your children sucked in and watching these things. But this has got Howdy Doody on it, so that shouldn't be too bad. And of course, so they're selling cigarettes here, and they say, blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere. Whatever. So those are some great shopping things you might want to consider for Christmas gifts. Oops, I did the wrong thing here. All righty, let's see. I got, go back here. Let's see, I got a couple of things you can talk about. One is we had the lights go out last week. They were in the middle of the morning on Thursday morning on Christmas, Thanksgiving morning, and I guess we don't really know exactly what happened. Southern Cal was going to turn out the power because of fire danger in certain counties, but Anaheim is on a different power circuit, so I don't know why Anaheim went out. But in any case, it caused a lot of folks here to say, well, what are we supposed to do when it's not an earthquake, but when the power goes out, how do we deal with this, that, and the other thing? The first question came up, is the building lit? And I asked several people on the staff, and apparently they don't live here, so they really don't know what's going on about some of these things. They didn't know. So I kept asking around, and finally, of course, Judy Phillips and her earthquake team know all about this stuff. And sure, they knew about it. And Judy, in fact, got up at 3 a.m. and was checking the hallways. Yes, the hallways are lit. The stairways are lit. We have that one elevator 4, that's still, it's on generators. So if the generator is kicked in on a power outage, that elevator would be operational too. And the garage is lit. So the only question was whether the gates still work for entry and exit. And we believe they do, but we don't really know definitively because we didn't try it. However, the evidence is that they do work because the papers were delivered around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning before the power had come back on. So, but it pointed out to the issue that there are no already in the handbooks or anything else, there really aren't any written procedures for power outages. We have a procedure for fire. We have all the stuff that Judy's working on for earthquakes, but something for just like, power outage. And I don't know if we need one, but it sort of shows that a lot of folks didn't know what to do. And it did remind us that we should have a flashlight next to our bed. And I looked for my flashlight and turned it on, and I got a little bit of a glow out of it. And I said, oh my gosh, this is time to remember to change my batteries. So that taught me a lesson. But we don't really have those procedures. And the other thing is, some folks who say, well, why can't we be notified using the emergency contact system that we have for the contacts in our family that are our emergency contacts, where they get text messages, but we don't. And so my question is to Nadine, can we be put on that emergency contact system to add the residents to that list? So if we have a capable text phone, that we could get a copy of those messages. So
well, that's a good question. So Our form of communication to our family members is through that emergency response system. It's not, we have not set it up for our residents because not all of our residents have smartphones or have cell phones or even check them or keep them, charged. So we found the best way to communicate with our residents is through memo, through paper. And in an emergency, we would deliver it straight to your door. We would not put it in your mailbox, obviously, if we needed to notify you of something immediately. But for something like the power outage, we wouldn't put out a notice to families anyway. That's not something we would typically communicate with.
Well, it's not specifically the power outage. This sort of raised a question though, but the power outage raised a question. But when we had that neurovirus, a lot of folks were getting calls back from their families. What's going on in the village? And we hadn't been notified yet. So for the people who do have, the people who do have capability, we're not telling. I mean, paper is okay for 100% solution, but why not tell the people if they have the capability?
That's a good question. I would have to give that some thought and discuss it and find out, what we're doing. Again, the main purpose of that system is to alert your immediate families. It wasn't designed or, wasn't necessarily a solution for our residents, but I can look into that. I mean, I don't want to say off the bat no, but what I can tell you is it would only be set up for certain people who have capability or even have the desire to be sent a text message to. So it's not even half of our population. Maybe it would be about a third or so. I don't know. We'd have to see. But
it would help.
In hindsight with the norovirus, and I know Joe is on the call today. Joe and I spoke about this, is that we should have delivered those memos to your doors, not to your mailboxes. Because I went to the mailboxes the next morning and a lot of them were still in there because residents don't check their mailbox every day. So in hindsight, on a communication like that, we needed to put it at the door. And I personally took those out of those mailboxes and went and hand delivered them to make sure everybody got the communication. So typically when we communicate with your families, we like to inform you first so that you hear it before your families hear it. And again, that would be a paper memo at the door. And during the pandemic, we were delivering to the doors. And, as information became less critical, we stopped doing that because it was really time consuming. And so we started to just deliver it into the mailboxes. But again, in a situation like that requires more immediate attention, we will be dropping them at the doors.
Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think it's appropriate for improving our communications here at the village between the staff and residents that we use all the tools available. And it shouldn't be that much extra work if the tool exists to use it for the residents. Because I remember on the neurovirus, I called down the front desk. They didn't know anything about it. I called down the nursing station and they sort of hemmed and hawed and says, well, I guess I can tell you this and that and so forth. So it was kind of weird because we had heard. Yeah, go ahead.
When we put out the communication, okay, so what happens is we'll put out a memo, and that memo gets emailed to all staff at Walnut Village as an FYI. This is what residents are receiving today in their mailboxes. So sometimes you get it before the staff get it. It just depends on, you know, how quickly that email gets sent out. But ultimately, by the end of the day or end of the, you know, afternoon, everyone should have that communication.
But I'm guessing, you know, the more tools we have, especially outside of normal working hours, when you don't have time to write a memo, those communications to the residents would be helpful. So we could help spread the word too, by word,
Yeah.
by word of mouth.
Again, you know, if we're going to communicate like that to residents, adding cell phone numbers would be in addition to what we're already doing, because what we need to do is take care of everybody, not just a select few who are going to read a text message. We need to communicate with every single resident, and not every single resident has that type of communication system. That's just our generation. So
I
first and
understand, but
foremost, yeah.
that doesn't mean I don't see the logic of if we have the devices, if there's extra work to just put us in the system one time only, and then when people
Right.
get, you know, text, you add them to the system. So you know,
Yeah.
I would have to invite, or I could invent a fictitious brother of mine who's, and it's be really me. So I get a notification that comes to my fictitious brother that it's,
Mhm.
but I don't want to get into that. You know,
No,
don't wanna
I
work
know
around
your
systems.
point. No, I totally understand your point, and I let me look into that, Bob. Let me look into
Okay.
that. I don't want to answer it either way, because it's something that nobody has brought up yet, but it makes sense to me. I get it. Let me get back to you on it. Let me give it a bit
That's
of
great.
thought.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I've heard it mentioned many other times, because I can't remember what it was, but when people were shut down or we had cases, COVID cases reported, we didn't know about them but our families did, so forth. So, okay.
Yeah.
Let me
Well,
move on to
this-
another
this-
subject.
Mhm. Sure.
We long time ago, I've been here 5 years, and when I first came here, I just found a very friendly place because everyone by their first name, and says, "Oh, that's easy because I don't have to worry about all these last names and everything else and so forth." And then actually found out it's sort of not a tradition or a custom here that someone started, you know, years before I was here, say, let's have everybody, not just the residents, but the staff interface with the residents by first name, not Mr. So-and-so or Sir this and Sir that. If once you get to know their first names, it's that much more friendly when you see them, you say, wave hi and call them by name. And that's sort of way, when I came into the village, the way things were. And of course, COVID changed a lot of things. And of course, we haven't been going back and forth, and we have been wearing our badges and everything else. And we haven't been going into the lounge and socializing as much. So we've lost a lot of that friendliness. So I said, well, hey guys, why don't we, number one, go back to that first name policy and make sure we're wearing our badges so you can help, you know, remember what those names are. And everybody sort of agrees, but I catch these guys at the dinner table and says, hey, where's your badge tonight? And I said, oops, but you know my name. So, but anyhow, then I said, well, it's also the servers used to have badges, but now they don't bother to wear them. And so if you don't remember what their names are, you say, hey, I want another glass of water. We can't go by their names because they're not wearing badges either. So, and that just sort of erases that whole friendliness mantra that we had going for us for a while. So I'd like to see if we can try to do something about that, to encourage a first name policy for not only the residents, but staff as well. The staff calling the residents by their first names, not Mr. So-and-so, and so whatever. And you meet them in the hallway, you get a chance to say hi by first name. That's the one part of it. The other part was, and this was brought up, some people can't read our badges because the print is smaller than it needs to be. And with our older age crowd here, we're all having problems with eyes and vision. And if we're not wearing glasses or whatever, the badge isn't really serving its purpose to show us who they are. And so I understand Joe had a conversation with you, Nadine, about, trying to look at some changes that could be made there to improve the readability and recognizability of the names on the badges and so forth. You got any comments on that?
Oh, I have a comment. Today I went down to the front desk and I said, because there's a lot of processing to change the badges and the color, but they can print on a white background so that the letters don't blend into the gold thing. That's the whole deal. It's all looks like one mess. So she's printing my name up with a white. I'm going to get it put together. And as soon as I do, I'll go into Nadine with it and we'll look at it and see if this couldn't be an easy solution without having to redo a lot of things. All you have to do is peel off your name on the current badge and put the new sticker on. So we're going
It's still a gold background though, right?
but it's going to, but the printing is not going to be black anymore either. So it's not going to disappear into the gold. When I finish it, you'll see it. And if
okay.
it works, then we'll,
Okay.
by the next meeting, we can bring it up and show it.
Well, I'd like someone to bring this up at the resident council meeting on Monday about the first name policies.
Nadine suggested that we do that too.
Get to that, our goodwill committees and all our other welcoming committees and everything else. It's a tax on the new residents
And the
to
old
figure out
ones.
who we are if we don't have our names real and don't use them. So
Well, I'll finish the badge and we'll have it done before the council meeting. And if it looks good and works, then we can present it.
well, the change in the badges, that's something that still has to be worked out to optimize what the readability is and
Right.
without a lot of cost and everything else. But we can use the badges we have, we can use the names we have. That's just a matter of protocol and procedure. So that's what I'm encouraging
Two
here.
parts. We got two parts to that.
All righty. Nadine, I gave you enough time did you have any other announcements you want to make?
No, I just want to comment on what you said. I completely agree. We should be. Well, I think we've always been on a first name basis with residents and staff, but that needs to be continued because we know each other on that level. We're not a formal, really, community. So I support that completely. And if there's anything I need to do as far as training is concerned with the staff that you feel, needs to be done, let me know. But it's really critical that every employee wears their name tag. So I am going to do an in service with the staff immediately and make sure everybody is trained in wearing their name tag because that's really important for you, for us too. But definitely for the residents, you need to know who you're talking to. So I will take care of that. I met with Joe yesterday about the name tags. It has not come to my attention before, but if it's coming up now, and I told Joe if some residents feel passionately about it, let's do something. I'm all for changing it up if it's going to make things easier on everybody. Maybe it's the font color, maybe it's the label color at the sticker, or we can order those magnetic labels in white. I spoke to Teresa about that yesterday. We just happened to order a brand new bag of the gold ones.
Yeah.
They are $3-4 a piece. So, if we were to go changing those up for every resident, that would be a project. So maybe like Joe's going to play with it and see if we can print it in a different color. Whatever the case is, if residents feel passionately about it, then let's be open-minded about it.
Okay. Mac has a comment?
No,
Mac?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? In the care center, they used to have pictures of the employees. And I was wondering if we couldn't have some place where the maintenance and housekeeping and that, we might have a little photo area where we could have pictures with their names on, so we'll be able to identify them. Is that a possibility?
Good idea.
Of the maintenance guys?
Yeah,
Oh, the staff, the
staff.
people who work with the
Oh.
residents, yeah.
Yeah, that's all staff or just the maintenance guys?
So for all the staff,
Well, for the maintenance, for housekeeping, for this,
Yeah.
everybody, yeah.
servers,
Servers,
we
yeah.
don't,
That's something to think about. We have to think about where, if we were to do that, where we would do it, where we would post it.
yeah, they had that in the hallway when you first came in to the care center.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You might-
Right,
you might
we had
remember.
the director.
Yeah.
All the management team,
Right.
right. Yeah,
put it
I
in the
mean,
red chair lounge.
Well, I'm
oh,
sure we've
I
got
don't
a
know
few
if we
hallways we
read
can,
their letter.
Just a thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah,
good,
make
good
it
thought,
somewhere-
Mac. Yeah.
Well, that's something to think about. I have to think about where to put it,
Yeah, yeah.
and then, and who exactly. I mean, if we're all staff, it would need to be a huge wall.
Well, I
no.
think you may want to break it into departments so that there's pictures and photos of the servers in the dining room and some others
Just make-
in appropriate
Yeah.
areas. They don't have to be all in one area.
just maintenance and housekeeping in one area and servers
Sure.
in another type of thing.
Yeah. Okay, we can look at
Just a
that.
thought. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Do you
think
have any
that-
other?
I think to start, I think we will definitely, I will definitely push the name tags. I think that's going to help a lot, is the staff wearing the name tags. That's really
Yes,
important.
yeah. Right.
Okay, Nadine, do you have any other announcements?
Well, you had mentioned the new variant. I just want to say to everybody, it's holiday season. So as a reminder to please be, very careful as you go out with families and stuff to wear your masks and maintain the distance, frequently wash hands. Those are all really important things to consider right now as, we're trying to keep our community safe. We received all the results from the testing this week, and they're all negative. So we're hopeful that next week's results will be all negative as well, being that we just finished Thanksgiving.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always good to hear. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want to be shut down for all the holiday stuff coming up. So we have to be
No.
good citizens here. All righty.
Exactly.
Well, I know a lot of people will be traveling coming up, and so I came across this interesting video that I'd like to show about traveling and on taking an airplane, so that you know exactly what's going on here. And so let me see if I can do this thing here. Of course, traveling now is going to require masks on new flights and everything else. But this is the pilot telling us what's going on here in flight.
Greetings from the cockpit. This is your captain speaking. Our AV system isn't working today, so we can't show you the $2 million safety video that an ad agency did for us. But since very little of what that video tells you will actually save your lives, I'm going to do it instead. The FAA says that 60% of you ignore the safety talk. Today, you'll hear the real safety talk you should have been given years ago. You don't want to miss this one. Here's the big thing to remember. If we crash or make an emergency landing, statistically speaking, 95% of you will survive. If it's a serious crash, 55% of you will survive. So if this plane is going down, concentrate, because your life may depend on some smart decisions. Keep in mind that 80% of accidents happen within the first 3 minutes and last 8 minutes of the flight. So that's when it would be wise to keep your shoes on and put your laptops away and stay focused. The safest seats on this plane are the ones facing backward, like the ones the flight crew are seated in. No, that's not a coincidence. The next safest seats are over the wings, closest to the emergency exit. If you're not in one of those right now, that's a bummer. But here's what you can do to help ensure your survival. Look where the nearest exit is. Now count the rows between you and that exit. If the cabin was full of smoke or upside down, or full of smoke and upside down, how would you get to the exit? Take a moment to visualize yourself doing just that. Now, look at your seatbelt. I know you all know how to use it, but that's because nothing is making you lose your shit right now. It's common for people in emergency stress situations to try to open that thing by pressing a button that's not actually there, like the seatbelt on your car. So take a moment to imagine yourself lifting the flap in an emergency. In fact, do it now just to get used to the motion. Emergency evacuations on the runway are more common than crashes. In the event of something like an engine fire, we need to get you all off the plane in about 90 seconds. This means you need to leave your fucking bags in the overhead bins and get off the plane in a quick and orderly way. Those bags will bring the evacuation to a virtual halt. My first officer and I will also be trying to get off this plane, and the last thing we want is to be cockpit blocked by your roll-on. Now you're probably well aware that there's a life jacket under your seat. Forget about it. They're less likely to save your life than those little airline pillows. Sure, there was the famous 2009 emergency water landing on the Hudson, but there were boats on hand immediately and no one actually needed a life vest. There was a flight that ditched in the Caribbean in 1970 where 40 lives were likely saved by the vests, but there was also one off the coast of Ethiopia in 1996 in which many passengers put them on too early and then couldn't get out of the flooded fuselage. To put it another way, if we replaced those life vests with a box of chocolates, it wouldn't alter your survival odds. Let's take a second to talk about those oxygen masks. Here's the thing. If we lose cabin pressure at a fairly low altitude, no big deal. You can breathe just fine. If we lose cabin pressure at cruising altitude, you can't. If that happens, here's what I'm required to do. I'm going to push the nose of the plane into an emergency descent. That's going to feel like a roller coaster drop and it's going to scare the crap out of you, but it's not dangerous. I've practiced. Also, by law, I need to notify air traffic control as well as the airline. And I need to do all of that before I can get on the microphone and tell you what the hell is going on. So don't be surprised if you don't hear from me for a bit. I'm just doing my job and you're going to be fine. For those of you who didn't manage to get your masks on in time, you'll probably pass out and then wake up in a minute or two when I get the plane to a lower altitude. You want to know what the biggest danger is? That you won't get your frequent flyer points for this flight. Just kidding. No, the biggest danger is actually that your luggage or those duty-free bottles you purchased and put in the overhead compartment will fall out when you open it and hit someone on the head. There are actually several thousand reported injuries from this every year in the US alone. By contrast, the FAA only reports 58 or so serious injuries from turbulence. So one could easily make the case that we should be handing out a helmet and skip the seatbelts. Another big risk is the drink cart. Seriously, it weighs over 100 kilos when fully loaded, and every year passengers get their elbows and knees and feet broken when the drink carts slam into them. So keep your arms and legs tucked away. Why haven't the airlines put some safety padding on the drink cart? No idea. Seems pretty basic. Same goes for the spill-proof coffee and teapots and cups with lids. Every year, some poor passengers get hot coffee or tea in their crotch when there's a bit of turbulence. But until the airlines fix this, I'm afraid you're on your own. Now you're probably wondering, how can this bucket of bolts stay in the sky if we can't even get the AV system or the latch on your tray table to work properly? To be honest, we sometimes wonder that as well. But the stats speak for themselves. The actual risk of dying in a plane crash is about 1 in 11 million, according to the Harvard School of Public Health's 2006 study. So you are far more likely to be struck by lightning or killed by a shark. And it's certainly much safer than driving. Right after 9/11, many were scared to fly. 12 to 20% fewer people flew. But because more people made driving trips instead of flying, a German professor estimated that an extra 1,595 people died in car accidents in the year after a 9/11, just in the US. Just a little reminder that we'll probably keep the seatbelt sign on for nearly the entire flight because our flight crew doesn't like to be bothered in the galley, and they definitely don't like trying to squeeze by you in the aisles. Please sit back and relax while we take forever to serve you a drink and barely edible meal, and then leave the tray on your table, making it nearly impossible for you to squeeze out of the chair and get to the toilet. Look forward to flying with you again.
That's funny.
So did you enjoy that?
That's funny. And true.
There's a lot of truth in that. He was trying to be sarcastic, but there was a lot of good information there. Well, that's about all the stuff I have to show. We have just about running out of time anyhow. I gotta see. This is I got one baseball joke. Let me see if I can handle that for the folks who are baseball fans, and we'll go. Then we'll call it a day. All righty. So here we are. Two 70-year-old men, Mo and Sam, have been friends all their lives. It seems that Sam is dying, so Mo comes to visit him. Sam, he says, Mo, you know how we have both loved baseball all our lives. Sam, you got to do me one favor. When you go, somehow you got to find a way to get a message to me to tell me if there's baseball in heaven. Sam looks up at Mo from his deathbed and says, Mo, you've been my friend for many years. This favor I'll try to do for you. And with that, Sam passed on. It's midnight a couple of nights later. Mo is sound asleep when a distant voice calls out to him. Hey, Mo, Mo, who is it? Said Mo, sitting up suddenly. Who is it? Mo, that's Sam. Come on, Sam, you're not Sam. Sam died, said Mo, coming awake. I'm telling you, insisted, it's me, Sam. Sam, is that you? Where are you? Asked Mo. I'm in heaven. And I've got to tell you, I've got some good news and some bad news. Tell me the good news first, said Mo. The good news is that there is baseball in heaven. Really, says Mo. That's wonderful. What's the bad news? The bad news is, come on, I can't get this thing. Sorry about this. The bad news is you're pitching Tuesday.
Very funny.
Figure that one out. Okay. All righty. All right. Well, that's okay. Well, I appreciate your attention and your coming out and joining us tonight. And we'll have a session next week. I think it's going to be right next to I think it's, let me check. Let's see. Oh, next week is okay. Yeah, the next week is okay. I'm going to be taking the 24th and 30th, 31st off for the Zoom things. So we're okay for that. So have a good week, and pass on all this good news, and remember to wear your badge and call people by first names. Have a good one.